Actor Brad Renfro came from a Knoxville, Tennessee trailer park to become one of the most sought-after talents in Hollywood. Known for his tough, gritty demeanor and solid screen presence, Brad was at the top of his game until his addictions slowly chipped at a once promising movie career and eventually killed him at the age of 25. This week on Death and Entertainment.
Live from Los Angeles.
911, what is your emergency?
Here in Hollywood now.
2 counts of murder,
Injury and death.
Oh my God!
Shocking new details
that has stunned the entertainment world.
This makes me a little nervous.
The hair stood up on my arms.
Just like in the movies.
What do you call this thing anyway?
Death.
In entertainment.
Deados of the world.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Deadtober.
How are you?
How are you?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Perfect.
Oh, wait, you're talking to them.
Yeah. I'm Kyle Plouffe.
I'm Mark Mulcairn.
And I'm Alejandro Dowling.
And we are going right into episode 102, discussing the short life of Mr. Brad Renfro.
Yes, unfortunately, he had a good career, but it was cut short, sadly.
Oh, boy.
Spanned about 13 years, right?
Yeah, he started young. He started very young, and unfortunately, he didn't make it to real adulthood.
Oof,
sadly.
Dang.
Yeah, that's what. That's the breaks, though, huh? That's Hollywood for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And after this episode, we're all going to be real Brad Renthologists.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll check the math on that, and we'll get back to you.
But first, we go to January 15th, 2008.
Alejandro, can you help me out with the top 3 movies at this time, please?
Yes, number 3, Cloverfield. J.J. Abrams.
Not to be confused with Cleavage Field, the hit Skinamax.
Oh, that's what
drama.
I was thinking about. Yeah. I was like, wait a second. That was
Wait, was that
3?
Cleavage Field?
Yeah, that was on a lot, along with The Witches of Brestwick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta love it.
And Saving Ryan's Privates.
Yes, that's another one for sure.
Yeah, that's more from Renfro's time.
Oh, yes, for Bryan Singer. We'll get into that later.
Oh,
Anyway,
boy.
Number two.
National Treasure, Book of Secrets.
Not to be confused with the shitty first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was when they stopped putting number 2 on a lot of sequels.
Yeah.
And they just have something exciting.
Yeah.
And you lose track of what number it is.
Like, wait a second. Do I hate this movie? I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I seeing it for the first time? Is it,
No relation to Secret the Book. This is Book of Secrets.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, The Secret was big around this time.
It was huge. Everyone's saying, Oprah knew about it, Tesla knew about it, Einstein knew about it, and you should know about it.
Yeah. Not to be confused with National Booty Treasure, which is a porn movie.
That is, Yeah.
Or Cock of Secrets.
Ah, there we go.
But The Secret, remind me, that's where you envision success and then it happens.
Yes.
Yeah, which is bullshit. I think even the author agrees it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about...
The author agrees?
Yeah.
Did the author write a whole book how it's not bullshit?
Yeah, but every author that writes stuff like that is a scam. Like that guy that went on Oprah and he said 1 million little pieces.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
That guy, the James Frey, whatever, he's a liar too.
Yeah.
They're all liars.
James Fry.
Marie Kondo, she said it's not good to have your place organized. No one agrees with what they're writing.
And speaking of Oprah, that's such a great clip where she's confronting James Fry about the lies.
Yeah.
She says, James, tell me she really hung herself. And he's like, well, I embellished a little bit. And then Oprah goes, no! That's a lie, James.
Oprah brings subjects us to the biggest grifters this country's ever seen in our lives. Dr. Phil, Frank,
Oz.
Dr. Oz, yeah.
Open this book under your seats. You get a lie. You get a lie. You get a lie.
And there's a new guy out right now. There's he's like a former millionaire executive or something that says you shouldn't be depressed. You should be happy with your miserable life. You piece of shit. Why aren't you happy, assholes? And this is like the new guy she's pushing.
Perfect.
New loser just dropped.
Well, there's some truth to that, right? If you're depressed, why not just be
Yeah,
happy?
but I don't want to pay this guy $40 for some horseshit book
Yeah.
to tell me that I should be happy driving Uber.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, let's not get hysterical. No one should be happy driving Uber.
No, let's not get personal either. I don't drive Uber, but, I aspire to.
Mad respect.
That's my 5-year plan to drive for Uber.
You'll get there.
Yeah, thanks.
That's my 3-month plan.
Number 1 movie. right now.
Okay. Number 1, Juno.
Yeah, with Elliot Page.
Yes.
Did you know that this was number 1
Nice.
this week?
A very pregnant Elliot Page.
Yeah. I guess she really got pregnant for that. Or he did now.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble here.
Canceled.
Never mind. Delete that. Edit it out.
And the movie had a lot of hip lingo. Like, yo, what's up, saddle brain?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't like it then. I don't like it now.
What's going on with music right now, Kyle?
Music on the Billboard charts. Number 3, we have Apologize by Timbaland
Is that the...
and Justin Timberlake.
Is that with Kid Timberlake too? Okay, there's too much timber in that movie. Too many or song.
Yeah.
Is it Timbaland or Timberland?
That is the question.
Yeah. The age-old question.
Let us know
That
in the
will
comments
ruin us, yeah.
section.
Number 2, Alicia Keys, No One.
No one remembers this song.
Hello.
No one cares.
And Flo Rida with the number 1 song, Low.
Shorty got low, 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 low.
Not so low on the charts, though.
Hello.
I
Hell,
heard-
hi.
I heard T-Pain on the Steve-O podcast, name drop. I saw him talking about how he lost all of his money. From that song alone, he had like 4 number 1 hits at the same time, and he just blew through all of his money within like a couple of years.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Happens.
So he was not following the secret.
Yes. Yeah, the secret was don't have a backup plan or something. I don't know. All right.
Just following the song title, keep your bank account low.
Yes, and he did.
Okay.
I have a couple more factoids about this time. January 15 is National Hat Day.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone knew that.
Yeah.
That'll work out for T-Pain, obviously. He's well known for his top hat.
I celebrate it every year.
You do? Okay.
Celebrated every day. I got my hat on right now.
You put the decorations out as just all hats on the wall and stuff.
Well, it's just ornament, tiny little hats hanging off my hat.
Day. Well, this is because in 1797, the first top hat was worn by John Etherington in London, England.
Wow.
As Juno would say, that's totally coolio.
Yes, you're really pushing that. It's very English though to think like no one else wore a hat ever in the world besides this fucking asshole in 1797. Give me a break.
Wow.
This is part of my 5 minutes I'm working out. First Super Bowl was played 1967 on January 15th also.
Wow.
And who won that Super Bowl?
I don't even know. Good question. Was it the Green Bay?
Yes.
Oh, was it? I didn't know.
Lombardi Trophy, all that good stuff.
All right.
Oh.
Well, before we get into this episode, I wanted to give a big shout out to Deado, Danny Traeger, for helping me actually research a lot of this episode.
There we go.
Thank you.
Not only suggesting it, but actually giving me articles and giving me some background on Mr. Renfro and actually how this went down. Very, very helpful stuff.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Danny. Shout out. She's a huge Deado fan, so.
Hell yeah.
She's out there in Australia. She's out there in Aussie land hanging out, so.
Good day.
Good day, mate. Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Okay.
Hope you have a sleep.
We don't want to lose her.
Clearly she already has a pretty twisted sense of humor.
Yeah.
Okay, early life stuff. Brad was born on July 25th, 1982 in Knoxville, Tennessee. The son of Angela Denise Olsen, no relation to the Olsen twins, and Mark Renfro, is a relation to Brad Renfro.
And no relation to you.
No relation to me, Mark.
No relation to Mark Ruffalo.
He is not a Ruffalo soldier, but I am.
Yeah, we don't want to ruffalo any feathers.
Woo! Okay, that one hit with me. I like it. His dad was a factory worker, not in the picture really. Not
No, he was in the factory.
Papa was
He was busy working.
On the picture.
The kid stays in the factory, not the picture. He was so Dad was not really around. Papa was a Rolling Stone, yada yada yada.
So in the die world, this is a tale as old as time.
I know
With the dad being a deadbeat.
A lot of father figures not around, and the people, whoever they may be, decide to act out because they didn't have that father figure present. I'm not saying anything about family, nuclear families or anything, but it just seems to be a constant. Brad was raised from the age of 5 by his paternal grandmother, Joanne Renfro. She was a church secretary after the parents divorced.
So the mom was out of the picture too.
The mom was out of the picture too. The mom moved to Michigan. And Brad went to Knoxville and to be raised in a trailer park by his grandmother, which is interesting. Like, why would the mom just leave? I think she just decided to, and I think there's something that that weighed on him his entire life.
Yeah, they abandoned him essentially.
Yeah, very much so. And Brad was actually born. He would tell people he was born addicted to heroin. So his mom, I think, had a very severe drug problem, enough so that she actually, went through full, pregnancy addicted to heroin and just kept doing it. It's just awful.
Damn.
That is so awful.
Like at that point, you're already doomed as a kid if that happens.
Yeah, if you're born addicted to heroin.
Yeah.
Like, gee, thanks, Mom.
I know. But yeah, he grew out of that situation, and I don't know, he was a very troubled kid. Like, he was very charismatic and, and fun-loving, and people, he loved people, but he just had this streak in him that he just liked breaking the rules. He just liked breaking the law and just doing wild shit. But on top of that, he was endearing to a lot of adults and stuff. He was never really like an actor. He had no formal training at all. He barely even showed up to school, like even as like a 11, 12-year-old. The way he was discovered and how everyone knows him, basically, is Joel Schumacher was trying to cast a perfect role for the character Mark Sway in the movie The Client in 1994. And this is something they would do in the 90s. They would just, do big cattle calls in like very middle America towns. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember the movie Election.
Alexander Payne.
Alexander Payne did one of those in Omaha, Nebraska, and actually found Chris Klein.
Oh, wow.
Who was like not even an actor before really either. He was just some kid that was in high school.
Pulled him right out of the chicken coop.
Yes.
He still had hay on him.
Yeah.
I can't believe Joel Schumacher is the one behind The Client. He had like all these gritty movies. You got The Client. You got he did Falling Down too, right? Mm-hmm. And then you just get the worst Batman movies of all time.
I know he
so cartoonish.
Those psychological thrillers. Basically the John Grisham books are really what made him, in my mind, like the stuff he did in the 80s. I don't really get.
Well, he did The Lost Boys.
Yeah, I was watching that the other night. I do like that movie, but it's kind of ridiculous.
He could have beat Nolan to the punch, being the first guy that made like the actual like grittiest superhero movies.
Yeah, he should have got Brad Renfro.
Yeah,
he did do a good Batman Forever.
It's still, I mean, I love.
Now you're turning your back on it.
When I was a kid, I loved it, but now it's like it's too cartoonish.
It's campy. It's kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones is frightening.
He's ridiculous. He's so over the top. It's like, what is going on here as Two-Face?
It's an hour and a half of him going, ooh.
You look at him, and even in the background when he's not in the focus of the scene, he's just like going crazy.
Yeah, and that's the funniest part about him telling Jim Carrey, "I cannot sanction your buffoonery."
Yes,
because he's a buffoon in that movie.
Yeah. And then Natural Born Killers, he's a crazy buffoon also, who's really over the top.
Yeah.
He went through a weird phase, Tommy Lee Jones.
Buffoonery.
Of buffoonery, and I can't stand for it.
Yeah.
So Brad auditions with 5,000 other kids in the Knoxville area trying to get this role. It's kind of like the Lilo Brancato story for A Bronx Tale, remember? Mm-hmm. Similar sad story, kind of like Chris Klein, Lilo Brancato, and Brad Renfro. when you pull these kids kind of out of obscurity, it's kind of, I don't know, there's something happens to them. It's just like, it's not an ideal existence.
Chris Klein is going, whoa, don't lump me.
I know, yeah, he probably listens to this.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck?
I'm still alive and I didn't murder.
Well, he had
anyone.
some DUIs. He had some issues with Katie Holmes. You know, he had some problems. He wasn't without problems. So,
Coming soon to Death of a Career,
yeah,
our new series.
exactly. It was actually the one person that was pushing for Brad Renfro to get this role as Mark Sway. It was actually a Knoxville Police Department dare officer named Dennis Bowman, who was actually the one who found Brad. And like basically what Joel Schumacher and all these casting directors did is like reach out to all, you know, police departments, pastors, anyone they knew that had access to kids, which sounds bad. But anyone.
You got any kids?
Yeah, I know.
Is this Brad Renfro's first actual time being documented, being able to be charmful to a person he knew had a suitcase full of drugs in the same room as him?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Maybe he was like, you know, giving him like the song and dance while he like behind him he was stealing all the drugs.
Yeah.
I like how this Dennis Bowman guy, he actually uses real hardcore drugs.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I don't fake it, okay? He's method when it comes to doing dare officing.
Yeah.
I think it's actually a good time to check out the clip we have of Brad Renfro being interviewed while promoting The Client, because they talk about this DARE program.
I read that it was a policeman who actually suggested you for the audition. How did you know the policeman? Had you been in trouble or something?
No, he was my DARE teacher, you know, to keep kids off drugs and stuff.
Oh, so it was a preventive thing.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't there because you used drugs.
Or it was, you know, they come.
This sounds like a police questioning also.
Yeah.
It's like an interrogation.
You wearing a wire?
Nothing serious, you know.
Can you
it's
pause it?
stupid. You know, drugs are really stupid.
He just said that he experimented with it before.
Yeah.
This is a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I know.
That's very disturbing.
Well, I'm going to go into that in 1 second.
Because, you know, you can have a bad addiction and not even know. And I'm you know, I'm close to a lot of people like that. And, you know, they're still, you know, my loved ones, but, you know, they're stupid.
Like I was saying, he's kind of a wayward kid even before he got this movie. I guess he smoked pot for the first time when he was 9 years old. He first got drunk at 11 years old. He was expelled from school after he lit up a joint in front of a school official. I think that was at 12. Also at 12, he starts using heroin, and then he starts having sex at age 13.
Jeez.
Yeah, so he hit the ground running, you know, as a kid.
Trying to be an adult way too early.
Yeah. I guess he started dating like older women when he was like a 13-year-old. And some would say it was a replacement for this missed mother figure who was never around.
That happened to Edward Furlong, too.
Really?
Yeah, he was like 14 years old, and the studio or his family hired a tutor for him, like a personal assistant / tutor, and she was like 27, 28, 29. And she was having sex with him instead of teaching him everything he needed to do.
Oh, my.
I mean, some would say high five. Some would say that's illegal.
Yeah.
Depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah. Depends what state you're in.
Yeah. You know what I didn't know about The Client? It was between him and Macaulay Culkin.
Wow.
Macaulay Culkin could have... There's no way he could have pulled off that character.
Yeah, the guy commits suicide at the beginning, and he's just like...
He's setting traps for the New Orleans mob and stuff.
Yeah, the guy at the beginning wasn't even trying to commit suicide. He just made him step in paint cans.
Yeah, he sets up a bunch of traps on that hill where the guy shoots himself.
The Godfather steps on a nail. Oh, boy! Kill that kid!
And Tommy Lee Jones is going, fucking.
Yeah, he just wants to go back to Two-Face.
Or emulate the Home Alone success with a Pesci impression.
Yeah. The movie's great. I don't know if you ever saw The Client, but basically Joel Schumacher's experiment or his big bet of getting this unknown kid pays off big time because the movie's amazing.
Agreed. I love that movie.
Yeah.
So good.
Anyone who doesn't know, it's about a young kid who witnesses a judge committing suicide. And before the judge commits suicide, he confesses to knowing a lot of the secrets of the New Orleans mob. And the New Orleans mob wants to kill him while Tommy Lee Jones plays a federal prosecutor who wants his kid to basically dime on them on the stand. And it's not a good idea for the kid. And so he gets Susan Sarandon as a lawyer in order to represent him.
And she becomes a mother figure to him.
Kind of also, yeah. And I think that's what I hear about Brad. Like, he would be on set and, like, kind of rely on a lot of the crew and people around him to, like, be his parental kind of figures, which is not good, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you're like just a basic crew guy on a set like this, you don't want to have to, like, deal with a kid all day, because your job's hard enough, you know? If you're like, what do they call those? Like a rigger or something, or, anyone who's like just basically lugging equipment back and forth, you don't want to have to care for this kid also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and back to the movie itself, this is the third in a line of three great Grishams.
Yeah, was it the Firm?
The Firm, and then the Pelican Brief.
The Pelican Brief is amazing.
And then the Client.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty amazing.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, like, because Grisham he knew how to make a solid, entertaining story.
Yeah.
And then if they adapted right, they were extremely entertaining movies.
Yeah, there's very specific type of cinematography Schumacher seems to use. I don't know that much about that, but it just seems like a similar kind of look they all have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all like it's all Southern people, It's always very like over the top Tennessee Williams type of Southern people.
I do declare.
Yeah. I object, Your Honor, because this is my client.
The boy was witness to a murder.
Yeah.
And he went on to do A Time to Kill, Schumacher.
Yeah. Yeah, that one too. Also
I hope
great.
he rot in hell.
I hope they burn in hell.
Yeah. He's always had those big loud speeches or something where the camera just comes in really close on him. Brad goes on to do, after that, he's kind of like, he could do whatever he wants. He goes on to do a movie called The Cure, which I never heard, but I heard was good.
I saw that movie.
Not good?
At the time.
Yeah.
when I was
Not
a kid.
based on the band. No relation to the band.
No, it's fine. He befriends a kid that's dying of AIDS.
Oh, God, I didn't know
And
that.
it's like their wild summer together.
Yeah.
And that's basically the premise. Kind of depressing.
Well, then he does Tom and Huck, which is also a buddy, not comedy, but a buddy movie kind of.
Yeah.
He does Sleepers, which
Oh my God.
if you haven't seen that, that could be kind of not brutal, but kind of, hard to watch at times.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah. Kevin Bacon always plays a great scumbag maniac.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, in Tom and Huck, that features other die subject Charles Rocket.
Oh, really?
As Becky Thatcher's dad, the judge.
Wow.
In what?
In Tom and Huck.
Oh, really?
And I heard that production designer Gemma Jackson told BuzzFeed News that Brad Renfro, who was 12 at the time, had a much, much older girlfriend during filming.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Wasn't it Renfro and Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Yeah.
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 And then I see here that Schumacher actually said after working with him, I often get nervous thinking that I have probably changed Brad's life irrevocably. I hope I've changed his life for the better, but you never know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The movie Sleepers he does, it's about kids who go to prison and get molested and even worse. Which brings him to his next project is PUPIL with much shit-listed Bryan Singer as the director.
Yeah, this was his follow-up to The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
So it was very anticipated.
Yeah. The film is based on a Stephen King story about a kid in Southern California who discovers his neighbor is a former Nazi war criminal. So the kid, who's played by Brad Renfro, threatens to tell people about him, basically. I don't even know who you would tell. Like, do you call a local cop? Like, hey, that guy's a Nazi.
Yeah.
But he threatens to tell on him unless he details in lurid detail about the World War II atrocities that he committed. So that's what PUPIL is about.
Yeah, he basically is blackmailing him for information.
Yeah.
On what that experience was like being a Nazi war criminal.
And it's Ian McKellen that
Ian McKellen plays the Nazi.
like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
It's playing,
He
like,
really lobbied for this role.
yeah, this insane Nazi who gets like reawoken and ends up, trying to put a cat in the oven and puts his war uniform back on and everything.
I heard in order to get the role, he walked around Warner Brothers in a Nazi uniform just to show that he could do it.
Like Sean Young.
Like
did
Sean
with
Young.
Catwoman.
No, that was just unrelated.
Wait, there's a movie they're coming up with?
He's like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I can be.
Whatever you say, Mein Führer.
Yeah, that's why I'm here with the Nazi. Yeah, that's right.
An apt pupil comes from that same book of short stories where The Body was in, which became Stand By Me.
Yeah.
And the Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Called Different Seasons, the
Interesting.
collection.
Well, I read this March 2019 Atlantic article. They did an entire piece on all the allegations against director Bryan Singer over the years.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And a lot of it involved underage boys during Bryan's Hollywood career.
Sounds like Bryan Singer.
Yes, it's very damning, the entire thing. He refutes like every single thing in it.
Of course he does.
But Brad Renfro is mentioned a lot in it.
Wow.
Yeah, because during the time of this app Pupil, Brad was hanging out with Bryan a lot. And some would say that through two sources, two people said that Brad Renfro was Bryan's boyfriend.
Oh, God. No.
I don't know exactly how accurate that is. Some of these sources, I can't confirm the validity.
And he was 14 at the time of filming.
Yeah.
14, yeah, he was 14 years old.
That's just pedophilia. That's not a relationship.
Yeah.
We're not saying that. Other people were saying that.
And you know what else is odd about it is usually in Hollywood, when you're working with kids, teenagers, they tend to cast an older actor to play younger.
Yeah.
And in this case, Brad Renfro plays an older teenager.
Yeah.
He plays like a 16, 17-year-old when he was only 14. So that's very weird to me.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of scenes in this movie, which, in retrospect, you could kind of see where there was some problematic things going on. There's one specific one where Brad's character is taking a shower in the gym, which is supposed to like mimic the showers, I think, in like during the Holocaust. So in the movie, it's supposed to be like you're supposed to see this as kind of like, through the lens of like a Holocaust survivor or something. And during this scene, though, there's been a lot of allegations from a lot of the kids that were involved in it. One particular boy, this kid named Victor Valdovinos. He was a 7th grader who got cast in to play one of the kids in the showers. He was a student at this Elliott Middle School in Altadena, California, where they shot the movie. Late one afternoon after basketball practice, he said he stopped in an empty restroom. While standing at a urinal, he says he felt a presence behind him. He turned around and saw a guy wearing glasses in his early 30s.
Ever acted before?
It was Bryan Singer. He said Bryan looked him over and says, "You're so good looking. What are you doing tomorrow? Maybe I could have somebody contact you about putting you in this movie."
What the fuck?
So he just confronts the kid in a bathroom while he's taking a piss?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never go into a public bathroom ever again in my life if I was this kid.
No.
This scene would lead to a series of lawsuits against Bryan and the production. There's at least 5 plaintiffs, all minors between the ages of 14 and 17, who claim that members of the crew had bullied them into stripping naked for the shower scene. The boys and some of their parents said they had been aware of the job, that there was like partial, like, just no shirt on basically and a towel.
Yeah.
They had been okay with that, but a lot of this crew were taking it further, and they were bullying the kids to actually get fully naked.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
How is that even allowed? That should not happen.
I don't know. Well, I guess it's like the crazy swinging 90s where you can get away with shit on set. And I think these days it's a little more tight.
And as I mentioned before, you could get 18 to 23-year-olds and, I don't know if they need to be naked, but it's a hell of a lot better than working with actual minors.
Well, one crew member said it was a mistake and only the adults were supposed to be fully naked.
The adult? What adult?
The adult extras. I don't know. I don't understand that at all.
So some of them were over 18
Yeah.
in the shower scene?
That wouldn't make sense though. But maybe there were some kids that were just 18.
Or did they mean the adults behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Only Bryan Singer is supposed to have his pants off right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, that same kid, one of them said, all of a sudden, Brian comes in and he goes, "Hey, how are you?" And he took him to a secluded area for hours. He said Brian took him in the back and made small talk, like, "How you doing? Need anything?" Every time he had a chance, he would go back there and he would fondle the kid.
Oh my God.
He would grab his genitals and start masturbating it.
Real.
He rubbed his front part on me, the kid said. He did all this with a smile. Like, he would just keep saying, "You're so good looking. I really want to work with you. I have a nice Ferrari," he was telling him. And this is all court deposition, so, it seems very accurate to me.
What kid gives a shit about a Ferrari?
Yeah. Well, the kid was like 14 years old, but it's true that he did have a Ferrari, and it's been confirmed by other sources. So,
And how are there just nobody from the studios keeping tabs on this guy when all these allegations keep coming out after every project he does?
I don't know. Were they coming out in like 97 at this
Not
time?
at this time.
I don't know about it at this time. They did eventually, yes.
But I'm sure there were whispers around, like, where the fuck were they for a while? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like, was he trying to grope Kevin Pollak on the set of Usual Suspects?
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that.
Well, that's the kid's allegations.
him and Kevin Spacey were probably going at it.
That's true.
That's why he had the limp.
That's a good reminder that Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, they
Jesus.
worked together a lot. On,
he won an Oscar.
Usual Suspects, yeah.
Yeah, won the Oscar for The Usual Suspects.
He did, yeah.
So they were probably up to no good.
Yeah.
Not a lot of kids in that movie, though.
Thank God.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, there was no formal charges that were filed, and, everyone claimed that nothing bad happened, and Brad didn't file any charges here either. I don't know, because he was pretty tight with Bryan Singer. So some people said he was his boyfriend. Another person said this kid, Andy, that they use in the Atlantic piece just to because they didn't want to use his real name. He said that one night him and Bryan were fooling around on a bed, and Brad was there. Brad was there with no shirt on, and he was just kind of going with the flow, as he said, and they were really going at it, and then Brad left before they started really having sex. But Brad was around like a lot of this stuff.
He had to have been.
And the kid Andy would say, like, it seemed like Brad wanted to stay around them for the work. Maybe because he looked around at these big nice mansions and stuff in LA and thought, this is who you have to be close with, and this is what you have to be exposed to as a kid. And Brad's like 16 years old.
Wow.
15 years old, 14 years old. He's around all this kind of weird. Imagine being around all that.
Jesus.
Well, imagine when you're born, you're addicted to heroin.
Yeah.
Your parents ditch you. You're raised by your grandma, and you're just dealing with chaos your entire young life.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if we emphasize enough that after The Client, people were really impressed with his performance. Because Macaulay Culkin, he wouldn't have been able to do that authentic Southern accent.
No way.
So people were like, this is a really promising young actor, like Lilo
Yeah.
Brancato after A Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to this anticipated apt pupil movie, he's basically on a track to become a really huge star.
Yeah.
And all he knows is chaos in his life. So I don't know, this must have just felt like par for the course for him
Yeah.
in some ways.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole chapter is very weird. And, what's his name? Bryan Singer would go on to, get a lot more jobs directed and stuff. And I think eventually around like 2017, 2018, a lot of stuff started coming out about him.
Yeah, he was fired from Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. Well, he was actually the replacement director for Bohemian Rhapsody, and he was fired like 7 days before the film was over. So I think the studio knew more. They claimed it was because he was very difficult to work with. I think it was really because they knew about all this stuff was about to drop.
Yeah. That's fascinating to me as well, that Bohemian Rhapsody went on to be nominated for Best Picture. Rami Malek won Best Actor.
It made like
grossed
$700
billion dollars. Yeah.
It made a shitload of money.
And yet no one could mention the name of the director.
Yeah.
Because he's credited as the director. So
Yeah.
the whole press tour, no one can mention that this movie had a director.
Well, it's very strange because rarely do they put two directors' names for DGA purposes. I think they could only put one. That's why the Coen brothers actually have one is the writer, one is the
Joel is usually
yeah.
the brother that gets the credit.
But the DGA really doesn't like doing that, and they did it in that case for Bohemian Rhapsody. So.
Yeah, they left Brian with the full credit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess Brian seems to really like to do shower scene or like Nazi Holocaust scenes because he did that in X-Men also.
Yep.
And it really freaked a lot of people out because it was like the opening of the movie. I never watched any of them, but I just heard that.
Yeah.
And I see a couple rumors here that on Apt Pupil there were nude auditions.
Really?
Actors complained about what they were seeing on the set, a lot of the stuff that you just went into.
Yeah.
And that, and then there's this one blind item about an incident where Bryan Singer took Brad Renfro to a party, a big Hollywood party, and he was the only minor there.
Really?
And then Bryan Singer plied him with booze.
Yeah.
And Brad Renfro got really fucked up and doesn't really remember what went on at that party.
Imagine what went on, though.
I don't want to imagine.
Jesus.
I think we can guess.
Yeah.
Bryan Singer has so many allegations against him now that you can't even keep track.
No.
Yeah.
The only constant is that there was probably a hot tub and young boys involved.
Yes.
Yeah, there was this club named Den in which a lot of Brian and his kind of cohorts would hang out at, and there was another producer that he worked with that would kind of get all these young kids, and they would all get him for Brian because he was like the big talent or something, the big movie director. So this guy through this kind of Den, I think it was a gay club in West Hollywood, he would get all these younger, underage kids, and then Brian would get them. And like fool around with them and then kind of like dish them out to other people and friends and stuff. He was kind of like trafficking young boys.
Jeez.
That's exactly what I heard about that. Because remember that movie, An Open Secret, the documentary?
No.
You saw that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they sort of go into the Bryan Singer stuff, but somehow Hollywood has protected this guy.
Yeah.
From actually being charged with anything ever.
Well, he's really friends with a lot of the higher ups there. I remember there was a thing they did for Billy Wilder in which all the current day directors like Rob Reiner, Spielberg, and all them came to talk to Billy Wilder, and Bryan Singer was one of them. I'm like, is he really at this time in like the early 2000s like a legendary director? I don't think so.
The Usual Suspects went a long way.
I guess. And Apt Pupil, I guess.
Not as much as Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
It wasn't very well received, Apt Pupil.
Yeah, I never even watched the whole thing, to be honest. It looked intense, but I'm just like, I would have heard through word of mouth if it was really that good.
I watched it recently. It's okay.
Okay, yeah.
But there's things to like about it, mainly because Stephen King wrote a really compelling story.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not very good, and it received very mixed reviews and made no money. So it was not what they wanted it to be.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the stuff Bryan Singer does with these kind of smaller budget movies, like, is it worth all this kind of heartache and pain and weirdness that he's putting off on these sets? It's like not to say it would be worth it if it made him $1 billion.
Yeah.
But like, what is
Bohemian Rhapsody? It was.
It's basically just somewhere like a playground where he can kind of like diddle young boys.
That's it. That's what it seems like with that Pupil.
Yeah.
Maybe he had no intention, or maybe he didn't care if it succeeded.
Yeah.
It was just his playground.
Yeah. And one quick thing, the Den Outpost was in Encino. Not to be confused with the Den on Sunset in West Hollywood, which Bryan Singer was not molesting young boys at, because that's still open and good.
Thank you for clarifying that. We could have got sued to the Kingdom Come, to the guild.
And Little Tony was just one of his friends.
Yeah.
Not the Italian restaurant.
Yeah,
Yes.
in North Hollywood on Lincoln Street. with
Look-alike.
Very tough bread.
Got tough bread.
Yeah, speaking of tough bread.
How tough are you?
Yeah.
Tough as the bread at Little Tony.
They start promoting that. They like the tough bread.
David Schwimmer is in Apt Pupil as well.
Is he? Wow.
And he would go on to direct a movie called Trust about a girl being molested by an older guy.
I did see that. Yeah, he gets into some weird stuff. Like he wanted to be like a serious actor for a while there, I think. But I think he's got all that Friends money. It doesn't even matter.
Now he makes $20 million a year for the rest of his life. So.
Yeah. For sitting on his ace. So Brad goes from one chaotic situation to another. In 2001, he does the movie called Bully. I don't know if anyone's heard this, but it was the director Larry Clark who did the movie Kids. I think it's a great, like gritty, like very hard to watch sometimes movie.
Which one?
Bully. Yeah. Kids also, actually.
Both of them, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's Larry Clark giving you a peek into the secret world of what kids are up to. That's how he explained it.
And that's the movie Kids, yeah.
Yeah, Kids. And Bully to some
Bully
extent.
kind of also, and like what they're really up to and like what is really going on with kind of some of the weird power dynamics and friends and people that just hang out when they're younger.
And most importantly, when adults are not around.
Yes. And I would say Larry Clark comes off as based on his movies, Larry Clark comes off as a bigger creep than Bryan Singer. But there's no allegations about him. But his the subject nature, he's like a 50-year-old guy making these like gritty teen comedies about sex and sometimes rape and like AIDS and yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Have you seen that clip of him explaining this one controversial shot in Bully?
No.
Of Bijou Phillips?
Well, I have a lot. This whole chunk right here is on Bijou.
Okay, I'll just say this one thing to start off then.
Okay.
It's just a very intrusive shot a la Basic Instinct.
Oh,
and it rubbed a lot of critics the wrong way. And Larry Clark explained it away saying, well, Bijou showed up on set with no underwear, and I'm going to film that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, she is a piece of work. Not to say that that's her fault or anything, but there's a lot of shit that went down on this set with Bijou Phillips. So the movie stars Nick Stahl, Bijou Phillips. I think Macaulay Culkin's actually wife at the time, Rachel Miner, I think, was actually in the movie also.
Yeah, they got married when they were 17.
Yeah, she was a minor too in this movie. Yeah, just so happens, just not a catchy name.
But did not have a minor role.
No, she had a big role, which was very intense. The entire movie is intense. A lot of weird sexual dynamics going on in this. And yes, Bijou Phillips was very scantily clad.
The entire time.
The entire time.
And photographed the entire time, up close and personal.
Yes. And yeah, you could see some anatomy, I think is what you're getting at.
And same with Rachel Miner.
Yeah, exactly. The women are, some would say objectified. I think.
And then others would say also objectified.
Yeah, no one comes out, unscathed in this entire movie, and nor did the actor Danny Francis, who was in this movie. So Danny Francis was the bigger guy that was in Mean Girls that played the friend.
Too Gay to Function.
Too Gay to Function. Yeah, that guy who was friends with Lizzie Kaplan is the other girl in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is actually his first movie. He does this movie called Bully.
Just like Brad Renfro and others that we're hearing about, he was plucked from Obscurity.
Yeah.
Larry Clark, I think, just saw him at a store or arcade and was like, oh, you look interesting.
Yeah. So this guy comes to the movie thinking, he's going to have a good time, good experience. It's going to be his first movie. Little does he know that Bijou Phillips is a monster. She's a complete monster.
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah. Who knew coming from that family that she'd be a monster?
Do you want to set that up? What family is she from?
She's from the Papa John Phillips family, who's from the Mamas and the Papas, like a big 60s folk band.
Yeah.
And the dad, Papa John, he was really into his daughter, Mackenzie Phillips. And they had what she described as like a 30-year like relationship.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no other
torrid affair. Yeah. Like very disturbing.
The definition of incest.
Yeah. And so this is the family from
Not Bijou, though.
Not Bijou. No, there's no reports of that. I think she was just too young. She has like a a 35-year age difference from the rest of her brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
I think.
And at this time, she was Paris Hilton before Paris Hilton. She was constantly being filmed at Hollywood clubs.
Yeah.
She was a party girl.
Yeah. She was a big-time party girl. So this movie is based on a book, Bully, in which it's based on a true story which occurred in Florida, in which a kid was kind of a real shitbag, and his friend and some other people that were bullied by this kid all, kill him. And the killing is extremely brutal. It kind of reminds me of like a more brutal Alpha Dog, if you've seen that.
Yep.
So, get into Bijou Phillips and her being a monster. So, November 2017, Danny Francis comes out with a Facebook post that's documenting the barrage of homophobic and fat-shaming abuse he got by co-star Bijou Phillips on this film that was filmed in 2000. Not only that, she also physically assaulted him during this shooting, too. It started when they were shooting a poster for the movie where she would just yell, "Are you gay?" at him. So she'd do it like 30 times. And like, I'm wondering in my head, like, not even giving her the benefit of the doubt, like, is she like in character just being a shithead? No.
I don't think so, because she's not a bully in the movie.
She's not. She's just like some girl that's banging Nick Stahl, really.
Yeah, she just gets naked a lot and helps kill someone.
Yes.
So that would not be in character.
So she would just bully this guy, Danny, over and over. So at some point it got so weird that Michael Pitt and Brad Renfro took her aside and just says, "Hey, can you shut up and just give this guy a break?" Like, when Michael Pitt and Brad Renfro are like the voices of reason, you must really be out of control.
It must have been vicious.
She would constantly just say, "Are you gay? Are you gay?" And at some point he just goes, "I'm bi." And then the next day when he showed up in front of everyone and the director and the whole crew there, she would say, "Look, the bi guy's here."
The fuck?
Boy, she's a real cut up.
Yeah, I know. She's not funny.
Good material.
Yeah,
Almost
no.
said the right word.
Take that on the road and leave it there.
I see what you did there, Kyle.
Hello?
They had to do a pool scene and everyone had to take their shirts off. And right away, she points at his belly and just goes, "Ew, gross." Like, what a scumbag she is.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be that way for the role, too.
Yeah.
An insecure guy, which is why he got involved in the whole incident.
Yeah. So Brad Renfro would take him aside and just say, "No, you're a great actor. You're a good guy. Don't listen to her, yada, yada." And then I think Brad would fuck with her, too, because she was fucking with Danny, and just say, "Can I get a real actress in here?" when she had like a bad take.
Wow.
She later said to Danny, "You remind me of someone," and said it was Carney Wilson, who was in her sister's band, Wilson Phillips, who, if you don't know, is just a very large woman that was in the band with two other very attractive girls in it. So
Okay, that was kind of funny.
she then laughed and then twisted his nipple through her shirt and then walked away. So
Okay, that's not funny.
So she gave some fake apology in which she just made it even worse.
No, obviously that is because it was said with complete hatred.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a friend, like, being funny and teasing each other.
I guess in another scene, she just kept rubbing her dirty feet on his neck.
Yeah.
And
those feet have been places.
Oh, yeah, they've been places. They got stories you could never believe.
If these feet could talk. Give them a breath mint.
That'd be funny if the feet could start talking. Now that's a movie. That's like a Charlie Kaufman movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So he tried to move his head away while she was like digging her feet into his head, and she just kicked him as hard as she could in the head. Like he thinks he got a concussion. He was just like dizzy for a while. She's like kicking this guy in the head.
How did he even make it to Mean Girls? I would have quit the industry after
I know. That's a really bad first movie experience.
And I guess she helped finance the movie in the sense that Larry Clark was forced to cast her because she was the biggest name.
Really?
Yeah, because I see a quote here. He said She was a club kid who was 15 years old, out there in all the clubs, fucking everybody. Producers that I know, all men and shit were fucking her. Everybody, he keeps going on.
Oh my God.
And fucking.
And I just found it disgusting, man. And the first time I met her, she came to me in this club and sat down next to me, put her arm around me, took my cigarette out of my mouth and started smoking it. And she started talking to me, hugging me, and kind of feeling me up. She hadn't acted, but that name, because she was in the paper every day for being a club kid and doing nothing, that name got us the money to get financed.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my! I did not know that.
So she's a real scumbag.
She is. And today, like a couple years ago, she gave a very lame apology after that Facebook post came out from Danny. And she gave, she's like, that whole time in my life was just a total blur. I don't remember what happened, but it was also after her husband got arrested for rape. So I don't believe any apology she would ever give. She's a monster, maniac.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to update everybody on the latest with her and her husband?
Yeah. Well, what do you mean by that?
Because we covered it lately.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the Ashton Kutcher episode.
Well, I saw that when I was researching this. Like, that's perfect because she came up a lot. In that she was married to Danny Masterson while he was raping girls.
Mm-hmm.
And
almost an enabler.
Probably an enabler. But the only time she divorced him was after he got put in jail for, 30 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they made a big joke out of the whole thing because they thought Scientology was going to protect them, that he would never actually get sentenced. And so there's a Twitter post you can see where on the first day of the first trial, Danny Masterson posted a photo of her dropping him off at the courthouse.
Yeah.
And then he said, "It's my first day of school, and check out my beautiful Uber driver." And she's smiling. I mean, what does that tell you?
Taking it very lightly.
Yeah.
I think those two are like the devil. I think they're really that evil. I think they're really fucked up people.
She does have a demonic face.
Yeah, she does. Especially in that movie Bully, I kind of believed it because she seems like a real piece of crap.
Yeah. That special effect at the end of Paranormal Activity?
Yeah.
Where the girl turns into a demon and smiles? That's how Bijou looks all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she gave a very lame apology. He says, it was okay and he forgave her, which is very nice of him actually to say something like that. I would never forgive her. She's kicking me in the head like that and saying shit like that to me.
He could have gotten a concussion.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So
Brad Renfro is somewhere in all this trying to help his friend out.
He's probably also on drugs though, and I'm sure Bijou is probably feeding him, who's already an addict, a lot of drugs and not helping the situation with Brad.
Yeah. Of course he was on drugs because I think this is the same summer. In fact, he was arrested during filming for trying to steal a yacht.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he had been arrested a bunch of times by this time. So up to this point, he's not even 20 yet. He gets arrested in June 3rd, 1998. Him and his 19-year-old cousin were arrested and charged with drug possession. He got busted with 2 small bags of cocaine in a cigarette box and a bag of marijuana. He went to rehab twice by the time he was 18. August 2000, he gets arrested for trying to steal a yacht, like you were saying, in Fort Lauderdale, of all places.
And I heard that it was because some girls he met, they were being paid by millionaires to,
really?
That whole yachting thing.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently they stiffed the girls. And so Brad Renfro was partying with them, and they decided to steal the yacht.
Oh, my God.
And another client of theirs was Jeffrey Epstein.
What?
Who did pay them.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Is that a fake fact?
No, this is a blind item.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Wow. So we count that as fact.
Yeah.
No, but
yes,
it's a fact that he tried to steal the yacht. This is just the backstory that there are whispers about.
But it also just leads to the story of Brad just going towards the worst possible situation whenever he gets messed up. He's just doing bad things.
Very true.
Constantly violating his probation, getting caught underage drinking left and right. He gets a DUI in Knoxville in 2002. He goes back into rehab. And this is all while still working a lot. Like he does this movie that we love called Ghost World in 2001, which is with Scarlett Johansson and Thora Birch.
Great movie.
Great movie. Scarlett Johansson's first movie, Thora Birch, I think, had done American Beauty before that.
She had in a bunch of other movies like Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, too, was a young child actress.
She was, yeah.
Forest Whisperer. And
in Lost in Translation, I didn't know she was 17.
Okay.
In that opening
Yeah.
scene. Have we talked about that before?
We did briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, the opening shot.
Yeah.
Sophia Coppola's kind of messed up if you think about it.
I mean, she said it was about her life, so maybe that's what made her feel better about it. But,
And little known movie that Scarlett Johansson was in is North.
Yeah.
With Bryn Hartman and Elijah Wood.
That's true. Yeah. Bryn Hartman was the big thing. She got that made.
The name above the credits.
She got that greenlit.
For her one line.
Yeah.
To John Lovitz. Sex on the Beach?
Yeah.
Watch our video.
Yeah.
You'll know what I'm talking about.
Please do. Yeah, check out that whole episode. So he's quiet for a few years. Quiet in that he's not getting into a lot of trouble. Why would you think that is? Well, in 2003, Brad becomes a father.
What?
We didn't know about this until after his death, but he does have a Japanese girlfriend, and the kid's name is Yamato Renfro, born in 2003.
Wow. I like that, Yamato Renfro.
No one knows the exact name or identity of the mother, but she's from Japan, and she took Yamato back to Japan after Brad died. And that's where Yamato was raised. And I think Yamato would be around 20 years old right now. And word is that Yamato's back in the U.S. living somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yamato here.
Yeah, Yamato, motherfucker.
Yeah, Yamato here.
Yamato here. Hey, Yamato this guy out of here.
Not to quote Johnny Carson, I did not know that.
Yeah, I that is weird, wild stuff.
That he had a son.
Right? Wow, Johnny, I didn't know he had a son. Japanese.
Yamada killed your father.
Yamada. That's Evil Ed Big Man coming back. Why not? So 2005, though, he's back to his old antics. November 2005, DUI for driving with a suspended license. Does 10 days in jail. December 2005, arrested in a sweep on Skid Row for trying to possess heroin. He also charged with possession because he already had it, but he was also just buying more, I guess.
On Skid Row, though. That's
Skid
like,
Row.
You don't have anybody that has a house?
Yeah, I know. Like, why do the police just go down there and just bust people for buying drugs? Like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he must have burned all his bridges or something, because there is yet another rumor that in his heyday in the early 2000s, that at a Hollywood club, he just refused to pay the drug dealer. That makes sense then why he would eventually be going to Skid Row.
Yeah.
Because he had probably stiffed too many drug dealers.
Yeah, he probably pissed off every one of those high-end drug dealers on the West Side or something, and now he's got to go all the way down. Well, that's what happened with Harris Whittles, too. So at some point, the dealers are just like, yeah, you're too far gone.
Yeah.
I can't deal with you anymore.
Yeah, when dealers have a conscience, you know you're far gone.
You might be an addict. So, May 2006, DUI, heroin possession. June 2007, Brad is found to have violated his probation by failing to enroll in a long-term drug program. And a judge warned him if he does it 2 more times, he's going to prison. So I guess
2 more times.
Yeah.
What is that? The 10 strikes law?
Yeah.
The 9 lives
The
clause?
judge was really easy on Brad, but I think he was just lenient because Brad, everyone liked him. I think there's like a lot of people in these positions, he pleads, for help from these people.
Yeah. I think the judge was Jeffrey Jones.
Yes.
9 times, and you're going to jail.
And then he, like Bryan Singer, maybe he wanted to hang out with him afterwards.
Yeah. And like Jeffrey Jones, he wanted to hang out with him after.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So maybe he just had a lot of people throughout his life that wanted a piece of him.
Yeah,
More ways than one.
I think I heard one person describe.
Bryan Singer wanted the whole thing.
Yeah. I heard one person describe that he didn't know how to set boundaries because of bad relationships with his parents or no relationship with his parents.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like your parents are never around. You're getting raised by a grandmother in a trailer.
Yeah.
There's especially with her probably being gone a lot. Would you rather be in a trailer or in a nice, like perfectly made church? So he probably had nobody around ever and just had no idea what a real relationship was.
Well, that brings
Until
up,
Joel Schumacher
came
pops up.
knocking. Yeah.
well, that brings up a great point, Kyle, because that's what the DARE officer that actually helped him get discovered said. He said, I'm either doing the best thing for Brad or the worst thing for Brad right now when he got him the client.
Yeah.
But who's to say that he wouldn't have got into all this trouble anyway? Because he was already on a bad path.
Yeah.
Doing heroin at 11.
We're in 2007 now, so his career has kind of bottomed out. He's not really getting those young heartthrob roles anymore. He's doing like shitty roles just basically to feed his habit, but he's working a lot. He does a movie called Hollywood Files, The Jacket, 10th and Wolf, whatever the hell that is. I think...
Not to be confused with the movie Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Jack Nicholson.
Dennis Hopper's in 10th and Wolf with him and actually says like, yeah, he's an addict, but he's a really good kid. And that, I had my days also and kind of equating it to how Dennis Hopper was back in the day.
So it's a good movie when it's a late stage Dennis Hopper joint.
Yeah. 10th and Wolf, James Marsden, Giovanni Ribisi, Brad Renfro, Dennis Hopper, Piper Perabo, and Val Kilmer.
Paraboo.
Yeah.
She's from
Coyote Ugly.
Jinx.
But Brad is also doing crap like he does a Law and Order Criminal Intent episode. Like that's crazy. You're done at this point, dude.
Yeah, that is. You do not go from the client and bully to Law and Order.
Fourth on the call sheet of a Law and Order Criminal Intent episode. That's not good, man. That's not good.
I mean, Charles Rocket literally killed himself after Law and Order.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not to make light of it, but
well, we'll get in there.
But Dick Wolf has blood on his hands. But he's just trying to be nice. He's giving everyone a role.
Yeah,
later in their career.
He did this movie called The Informers, and the first AD who actually worked on PUPIL, this guy named Fernando Alchel, I think I'm pronouncing that right. He gets a look at Brad Renfro when he shows up there, and he's like, "Holy fucking shit." He's like, I knew this guy was like having some bad days, but Jesus Christ. I guess Brad at this time was not
that he's judging.
Not that he's judging.
Holy Christ.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, nice to see you. Holy shit.
Hey, Brad, it's been so long. Oh, my God. Who the fuck is that? He's like Sam Kinison.
How about Brad Renfro?
Oh, so bad. So awful.
Well, yeah, it's just...
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Brad was lighthearted about it. He said, I put down the heroin spoon and I picked up the fork. And that was his big joke that he told him to kind of like ease the tension of his tough appearance.
Weight gain.
Yeah, he did put on a couple pounds.
Which could have been a good sign, actually.
Usually you'd think so, yeah. And that means, you're working the heroin out of your system, you're getting your appetite back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or you're replacing one addiction for another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened with Corey Haim for sure. Like he would get off and on, but he was kind of bloated towards
the end.
Yeah. And I think maybe if you get off it and then go right back into it and you don't realize what your tolerance level is, it gets a little dangerous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these are not the good days for Brad.
No. Should we hear that interview from October 2007?
Sure, yeah.
This is his last interview on camera, apparently.
Hi, I'm Brad Renfro, and you're watching Portable Hollywood.
Portable
The advice I have for people who want to get
This
into
music.
acting, numeral uno, check your motives for wanting to get into it. It's a lot of work. Very few people are fortunate enough to not really have an appreciation for the craft and still make money. There's so much competition. It's really just about persistence. You got to just keep at it. If I'm 2 inches too short, the role probably goes to the other guy, so you have to really learn to be just secure with yourself and know that rejection is part of it.
Don't mind the techno crap in the background.
Yeah, what is up with that?
Yeah, that was...
There's a little more, though.
That's so inappropriate.
Without the music, there's a little ending there.
This is going to sound silly, man, but, or actually it's not. I would tell him, to stay the hell away from, like, the party scene. Anything you put in front of your goal, and especially something like that, whether it's too much gambling, too much food, too much cold beers on the weekend, anything you put in front of the prize, so to speak, is gonna end up getting in the way and hurting you in the end. Unfortunately, not many people are lucky enough to traverse through things like that and come out on the other side, you know. And a lot of people don't make it. They don't live through it.
Yeah. Well, no better time to say it than January 15th, 2008. Brad is found by his girlfriend dead in his Los Angeles home. He was 25 years old.
25.
Yeah. 25. In that, like, that's the time your career's like feels like it's winding down or done, and it shouldn't be the case, because he should have had like 40 more years of career left.
I mean, I know we've gotten yelled at for speaking about people's appearance, but that last interview, I would have thought he was at least 35.
Yeah.
I can't believe.
Yeah.
Only 25.
That's a
crazy.
good point. But he always seemed like an older person.
He did carry himself.
He had to grow up so much. I think that's the similar way Mark Sway in The Client was. He had to grow up so much quicker in order to survive, or like in order for his family to survive.
Yeah, 11, 12 in The Client. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because he carries that whole movie, and it's him and Susan Sarandon, their rapport.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones is just kind of in the background. But those two, they carry that film.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you believe that, you believe the entire movie.
Exactly.
And it
works.
Makes it work, yeah.
Based on him.
So the L.A. County Coroner's Office ruled the death accidental, attributed to acute heroin and morphine intoxication.
Jeez.
He was buried at Red House Cemetery in the small community of Blaine, Tennessee on February 8th, 2008.
Damn.
Yeah, that's really sad.
His grandmother, who raised him, Joanne, she died 17 days later.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things you hear about all the time when another family member dies shortly after.
Maybe she just felt like she had to still take care of him and just be there for him, and then that burden, I guess, got, taken off her shoulders or something. Who knows?
Yeah, like when Debbie Reynolds died right after Carrie Fisher.
That was interesting. Yeah, and then Renfro's mother, Angela Olsen, died March 2nd, 2012, at the age of 50. So I don't know what the cause of death there was. It doesn't seem like it was good, though.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. And the dad is still around?
The dad is still alive, as far as we know. Yeah. Obviously,
who cares, right?
Out of the picture, yeah. Who cares? Maybe he's still in the factory.
I guess Brad auditioned. Yeah. I guess Brad auditioned for the part that Heath Ledger got in the movie The Patriot.
Oh, okay.
And coincidentally, they died exactly 1 week apart in January 2008.
Wow, that is crazy. Yeah, there was a lot of weird deaths around, I think it was just like the last... You don't see a lot of actors these days like dying of overdoses and stuff anymore, do you? Or maybe they're just like not big movie stars anymore.
I think that's it. There's not as big of movie stars anymore.
They don't go out. They're not trying to find the next Brad Renfro these days. They just don't care. They just want to put some celebrity or something, or some celebrity's kid who is by default a celebrity also in a movie or something.
Or Timothy Chalamet.
He
would have been.
Where the hell did that kid
in
come
The
from?
Client if they did it now?
He would have, and it would have been just such a muted, boring version of that character.
Yeah. Joel Schumacher said that he broke the news to Susan Sarandon, and she wrote a tribute to Renfro for Entertainment Weekly, saying he reminded her of a young James Dean.
Yep. I have a post-death quote from Bryan Singer. You guys want to hear this?
Let's do it.
All right. Brace yourself.
I think he was troubled before he got to Hollywood. When there's enough drugs involved, it has less to do with Hollywood's pressures and more to do with the pressures of life.
Yeah, which you were putting on him.
Yeah, you were
asshole.
You were having underage kid orgies in front of the kid.
Yeah. Ay.
While feeding him drugs.
You made a shower that was scarier than Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a tough task.
Yeah, that's a large undertaking.
Yeah. The balls on this fucking guy.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Like, to say something like that, basically victim blaming this poor kid who was put through this entire industry, especially him.
Yeah.
He was troubled before he came to my playpen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, poor kid never had a chance, even though he was with me all the time. Like, what the fuck?
He couldn't handle his meth or his whatever.
Yeah, he couldn't handle everything I gave him.
He never had the proper parental figure.
Yeah, like
just me.
Yeah, and that's what Brad looked up to him as, probably something like that. Like a parental figure.
A warped parental figure.
Very warped.
And that's why
smart guy. I'm sure Bryan Singer's a smart guy.
I use the term chaos because it just feels like he was born into chaos, and that continued right on throughout Pupil and later.
Yeah, it didn't get more normal.
And why don't we hear that clip of behind the scenes from Apt Pupil and see if we can sense anything in Bryan Singer?
Okay.
I think the combining of the bright contemporary youth with one of the greatest evils of history in a contemporary suburban setting is just
talking about himself.
Everywhere you look in this film, the attention to detail is quite remarkable.
Especially in the shower.
One's very much in the hands of Bryan, and I'm very happy to be so. I think he's got immaculate taste, and he's very clear about what he wants.
Taste in what?
It's like we're all excited and into it. Wonderful director. So I had a great experience working with Bryan.
Don't believe you.
It's the desire to dig deeper. The thing with Brad is he's incredibly real. And when he came in for the first reading, he was Todd. Had that bright look of fascination, a sponge of curiosity. I knew Ian would bring it that other dimension. It's that seductive nature that is what keeps Todd there.
Yeah, let's come back. Brad Renfro was omitted from the in memoriam tribute montage at the 80th Academy Awards in the year following his death.
That is outrageous.
It was a snub.
That's a big snub.
Big snub.
And he wasn't even a comedian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that just Hollywood not wanting to face who they chewed up and spit out?
Maybe that's it.
I think so.
Yeah. Brad Renfro's roommate, Mark Foster of Foster the People, the band, wrote a song about his death called Downtown. The song was included on a deluxe edition of the band's 2011 debut album, Torches.
I did not know that.
All the young kicks in the boop poo spits. Do
Run.
you remember that song?
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't that their big one?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 2012, the art magazine The Thing Quarterly reported that actor James Franco had the name Brad tattooed on his right shoulder in memory of Brad Renfro.
Did they work together?
I don't think so.
Maybe in Deuces Wild.
Maybe Deuces Wild, because that was like
had a lot of
cast.
young
Yeah,
actors. Yeah. But still, that's a little much. You think he's just clout chasing there? Like, me and Brad were brothers, and
yeah, James Franco tries to seem like he has like some weird edge to him, or like he thinks it's funny or it's kooky, and everything he does is kind of like cool. That so you should be friends with him. I hate James Franco.
Well, so does everyone now.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus. Franco also produced a limited edition series of switchblades bearing the words Brad Renfro and Forever. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Get lost, man. Just go away.
Pound sand.
Yeah. Why don't you start in an acting school in hell and go down. Have fun.
Oh, man.
Yeah, go make another weird experimental short film.
Yeah.
Where someone's taking a shit on camera. He did that.
He reshot, I think, like the movie Cruising, the Friedkin one, for no reason. And Friedkin's like, what the hell is that guy doing that for?
He's like, who would want to reshoot Cruising?
I know. And who would even want to see Cruising?
Al Pacino was like, hoo-ah!
Hoo-ah!
I'm cruising!
That was a bad experience working on that movie.
I don't give a flying fuck through a rolling donut.
Yeah. I say it's a bad experience because him and Friedkin butted heads.
Yeah.
But because Al Pacino would show up 3 hours late every day.
Whoops.
Ooh, I couldn't find the place.
He's talking about a guy's ass.
Yeah. I got my head all the way up it.
He really did in that
really
movie.
did, yeah.
He goes way underground.
Yeah. That should have been the tagline.
The leather underground.
In this movie, Al Pacino goes way underground.
Yeah.
Say hello to my love, huh?
All right, well, final thoughts?
I think it is a cautionary tale for young Hollywood. If there is any young Hollywood left.
It's not even just young Hollywood. It's like, don't fuck your kid's life up because they're going to find the wrong things. Like, they're going to fall down the wrong path because it's so easy to take advantage of people who had no people to tell them what's right and wrong when they were growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the grandma tried, but that only goes so far.
She could only do so much. Like, this kid was going nuts. Like, he was a wayward youth. Like, he was reckless as hell. And, you know, what is an older single woman going to do to really, you know, shape this kid?
Yeah. And when you're a 12-year-old giving interviews where you say, yeah, I've experimented with drugs in the past, talking like you're a 50-year-old,
yeah,
that's not a good sign.
Yeah, he sounds like Tom Waits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I experimented with some drugs in the past.
Oh, I had my days. Like, when?
And now I worship the devil.
Jeez.
That was a terrifying voice.
This is like evil Tom Waits. Ed McMahon's like, hey, nice to see you down here. Our musical guest.
How could you get more evil than regular Tom Waits?
Yeah.
In an interview on Fresh Air, Terry Gross asked Tom Waits what the meaning of the song God's Away on Business is. Is it something about evil or the devil? And he's like, no, God's just taking a vacation. He's away on business. That's all it means. He's coming back.
Like, I wish I didn't ask.
Yeah. And we're going to commercial. Oh, we don't do commercials. We're going away.
And it's the same
the
guy,
fuck out of here.
The same guy who told David Letterman that he likes to watch a lot of TV, meaning turkey vultures in his backyard.
Oh, God.
Hilarious.
Okay, anyway.
Boo.
All right, I love Tom Waits.
Good note to end that on.
Yeah, I'm sinking this ship.
Rest in peace, Brad Renfro.
Again, thank you very much, Danny Traeger, for the suggestion and for helping me do some of the background work on this death and some of the weird stuff that happened around Brad's career.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. For Mailbag, we got a little bit from Daddy Big Dick 1934.
All right. Now we're talking.
Give it to me.
Give it to me, Daddy.
Left a comment on Disney Deaths, A Morbid Guide to the Happiest Place on Earth. Daddy Big Dick 1934 said to us, I likes what I hears. Great pod, and it's awesome that one of the hosts is the guy who plays Coach McGuirk from Home Movies, which I guess people are talking about me because we've got that a few times. John Benjamin. I don't hear it, but...
John Benjamin?
Yeah.
This is just Kyle trying to grab a
you're
little
Daddy
more
Big Dick.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Every time a new episode drops, I tell my family to shut the fuck up because it's death and entertainment time. P.S. I imagine every time a celebrity dies now, the death and entertainment hosts are sad for a second, then a giant Grinch grin slowly forms on their faces.
Wow. What a well thought out review.
Yeah. And nailed it.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Except for the Kyle stuff.
Yeah. I don't hear the H. John Benjamin thing, but a lot of people do, apparently. It's come up a few times the last...
hey, now.
Whatever.
Kyle just wants you to know that.
Yeah.
Of course.
That everyone thinks he's H. John Benjamin.
Yeah, but I'm not.
If you're listening, he's available for voiceover.
Yeah, exactly. And you can get Tom Waits, too, for an extra $5. Yeah, and then...
You're overpaying.
Yeah. Other than that, go check us out on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, if you're not looking at us there. Wherever you like to listen to all your podcasts, we got the audio up. Anywhere you can find it.
And most importantly, Patreon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Patreon. Go to our actual web address. Just type it in, patreon.com/deathinentertainment, because you can't find us in the search, apparently.
And speaking of Disney deaths, you can hear the sequel to that episode, Disney Deaths 2, Land of the Damned.
And what also we're going to have very soon.
And we're going to do a Patreon right after this episode where we're going to look further into the real story of the movie Bully.
Ooh.
Don't want to miss that.
So there you go. And until next time,
don't go dying on us.
Bye-bye.
You have just heard
a true Hollywood
shocker. I have never seen anything like this before.
The movies, Broadway, music, television, all of it.
A place that manufactures nightmares.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
Good night. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon.